As the multiverse saga nears its end, Marvel is already gearing up for the next chapter of its cinematic universe, and one of the first movies expected to kick off this new era will be Black Panther 3, officially directed once again by Ryan Coogler. According to a recent report from Production List, the project now has an official title: Black Panther: Shadows of Wakanda. The short synopsis reveals that the story will focus on the growing vulnerability of Wakanda following T'Challa's death. This time, the threat won't come from the outside world, but from within the kingdom itself. Internal conflict is set to rise between the clans, while Shuri is expected to fully embrace her role as the new Black Panther. Filming for Shadows of Wakanda is reportedly scheduled to begin in June next year. Right around the same time, Marvel will be deep in production on Secret Wars. For a while, the future of the Black Panther series was uncertain. Rumors suggested that Marvel might cancel the third installment altogether, or even soft reboot the character with a new actor, with names like Damson Idris being floated around to take on the mantle of T'Challa after Secret Wars. It's no secret that Wakanda Forever left fans divided. Despite its emotional tribute to Chadwick Boseman, the movie didn't exactly meet expectations and is often seen as one of Marvel's more disappointing sequels. Still, Coogler remains attached to the trilogy's conclusion. Recently, he also worked on the animated series Eyes of Wakanda and helped write Ironheart, both of which received mixed reactions, making some fans nervous about what's next. For now, Black Panther 3 appears to be Coogler's main focus, with no other major Marvel projects tied to his name. But with Shadows of Wakanda, Marvel clearly hopes to bring the franchise back to the grounded political intensity that made the first film so powerful. Only this time, with the throne of Wakanda hanging by a thread. Ryan Coogler himself hinted that he'd love to bring some of the actors from his latest movie Sinners into Black Panther 3. During an interview with Comic Book, when asked directly if any members of the Sinners cast might show up in the next Black Panther, Coogler gave that classic half answer, saying he could neither confirm nor deny. And as usual, that kind of response only fuels speculation. The name that keeps popping up the most is Sinners star Jamie Lawson. Rumor has it she's in talks to play Zenzi, one of the most intriguing characters from the Black Panther comics. If that turns out to be true, it'd be an inspired choice. Zenzi is a revolutionary from the neighboring nation of Naganda, who gains psychic powers after Killmonger's brutal experiments on her people. She escapes, leads an uprising, and becomes a symbol of rebellion against Wakanda's leadership. Created by writer Ta-Nehisi Coates and artist Brian Stelfreeze, Zenzi later aligns herself with Zemo and eventually Hydra. She's an ideological opponent who sees herself as freeing her people from oppression. Despite T'Challa's best efforts to stop her, Zenzi always returns, stronger and more strategic, often backed by dangerous global allies. If Marvel actually goes down that path, it could make Shadows of Wakanda one of the most politically charged entries in the MCU. The Black Panther films have always balanced action with deeper social and political themes. The first movie was about legacy and identity through Killmonger's challenge for the throne. Wakanda Forever dealt with grief, instability, and the world's hunger for vibranium. Bringing Zenzi into the story would raise the stakes again, this time turning the conflict inward as rebellion brews from within Wakanda's borders. And if Hydra and Zemo are involved, we could be looking at a full-on geopolitical thriller for Marvel's next phase. Meanwhile, Marvel seems to have already quietly locked down its release window. According to insider Jeff Snyder, Black Panther 3 is set to hit theaters on February 18th, 2028, making it one of the first Phase 7 titles. When it comes to potential casting, the biggest name being floated around right now is Denzel Washington. According to recent reports, Denzel has actually expressed interest in joining Marvel, and specifically mentioned the Black Panther. That alone is huge, because he's one of the few legendary actors who still hasn't appeared in the MCU, and bringing him in could give this next saga an incredible sense of prestige and weight, and it sounds like it might already be happening. Just a few weeks ago, Denzel casually mentioned that he's been in contact with Ryan Coogler, who, according to him, is writing a role specifically for him. That tiny detail blew up across social media, especially since Marvel has been keeping everything about Shadows of Wakanda tightly under wraps. Denzel even hinted that this could be one of his last major roles before stepping away from acting, saying he only works with the best now, and a Marvel film definitely fits that bill. If he really joins the cast, it would be more than just a high-profile addition. It would feel deeply emotional. Years ago, Chadwick Boseman revealed that Washington secretly paid for his acting school tuition, an act of generosity that helped launch Boseman's entire career. Without that moment, we might never have had Black Panther in the first place. So seeing Denzel join the franchise now would feel like a full circle moment, almost like passing the torch from mentor to legacy. As for who he could play, one theory gaining traction among fans is that Denzel might take on the role of Shadow King, a powerful telepathic villain from X-Men comics, whose influence has occasionally crossed paths with Wakanda. Given the new title Shadows of Wakanda, the connection seems almost too fitting to ignore. In the comics, Shadow King is a mutant from Egypt with immense psychic powers, rivaling even Professor X. He's often portrayed as a demonic entity that feeds on hatred and chaos, sometimes even tied to ancient African mythology. In some storylines, he's described as a spirit of destruction who draws his strength from the goddess Bast, the same deity who grants the Black Panther his powers. Even though Shadow King is primarily an X-Men villain, this wouldn't be the first time Marvel reimagined his role. Just look at how they adapted Namor in Wakanda Forever. The same could easily happen with Shadow King, especially since his ties to Africa, mysticism, and the multiverse all align perfectly with where the MCU is heading post-Secret Wars. With the barriers between worlds breaking down, Shadow King could awaken and begin corrupting minds across Wakanda, feeding off the nation's inner turmoil. That would give the movie a supernatural edge, part political thriller, part psychological horror. It also opens the door for another iconic character, Storm. In the comics, Shadow King and Storm share a long history, and Storm herself was even married to T'Challa at one point. Introducing both of them through this storyline could be the perfect bridge between Wakanda and the upcoming X-Men reboot. And let's be honest, Black Panther doesn't have a huge roster of villains. Most of them overlap with other Marvel heroes' rogues galleries, like Dr. Doom, who's technically a Fantastic Four villain but still had a great run in the Doom War storyline against Wakanda. So bringing in Shadow King as a temporary villain would make sense. It gives Coogler a powerful, complex antagonist who ties into both African mythology and the larger multiverse. Whether or not this theory pans out, Denzel Washington's involvement would elevate Shadows of Wakanda to a whole new level. It's the kind of casting that makes the entire MCU feel like it's entering a new era, one built on legacy, myth, and evolution. Of course, for now, all of this is still just rumors. The only thing officially confirmed at this point is the title. There's no logo, no cast announcement, nothing from Marvel yet. The one solid update we've gotten came from Ryan Coogler himself, who said that the script is already finished and just needs some final polishing. According to him, the main story framework has been ready since before the second film even came out. And honestly, it feels like this one might include a bit of a time jump. Remember that mid-credits scene from Wakanda Forever introducing T'Challa's son? That moment wasn't just there for fan service. It was clearly setting up something bigger. My guess is that by the time Shadows of Wakanda begins, the boy will be older, maybe even a teen, growing up inside the royal palace as the next heir to the throne. That could easily tie into the plot, either as a target for the film's villain or as a key emotional anchor for Shuri's story.